Hey everybody, Robert from Black Belt Gaming. I hope you're doing well. Continuing my read through of Dragonslayer, the role-playing game. As I read through here, we're going to be reading some parts directly, paraphrasing, giving some thoughts and opinions as we read along. Like I said, I am discovering this game, kind of learning it as I read through and share it with you. The sort of the idea behind this game is one that combines the rules of basic D&D with the extras coming from Advanced Dungeons and Dragons First Edition. Very similar to the way I learned the game and played it back in the 1980s. Today, we are up to Half-Elf. To qualify to be a half-elf, you need to have a dexterity of 6 and a constitution of 6. You don't have any modifier or adjustments to your ability scores as a half-elf. You can play an assassin up to level 11, a cleric up to level 5. That's seeming a bit low there. A druid up to level 8, a fighter to level 10, magic user to level 10, a ranger to level 8, and a thief to level 12. Half-elves come from the union of humans and elves. They're not as tall or as muscular as humans, nor are they as lithe or agile as elves. They possess the pointed ears of their elven ancestry, with paler skin than humans. Some half-elven men may grow beards. Half-elves are more commonly found among humans than elves, as humans are somewhat more accepting of their mixed heritage, and they usually live for about 200 years. When role-playing a half-elf, half-elves feel like outsiders. They exist between humans and elven cultures and do not feel at home in either place. They have the curiosity and ambition of their human ancestors, alongside the fascination with magic and nature from their elven lineage. As outsiders, they possess a natural wanderlust and often are drawn to the life of adventure. Half-elves dress specific to the culture in which they were raised, so most likely a bit more in the human style. Half-elves have a speed of 40 feet, and they have, like we talked about, they have dark vision like almost everybody else. They can see in total darkness up to 30 feet. I still disagree with that. I just don't know about elves or half-elves being able to see in total darkness. Detect secret doors. When actively searching, half-elves may detect a secret or hidden door on a roll of 1 on a d6. So this is really stressing here that humans by the book cannot roll to find secret doors. They're going to have to go through role play to find a secret door, unless you did something else and gave humans a 1 in d6 chance. But yeah, by the book, humans can't find a secret door, whether passively or actively. Interesting thing there. I'd have to double check the old AD&D books, but I thought everybody had a chance, at least a 1 in 6 chance. Paralysis. From their elven heritage or elven lineage, they have a 50% immunity to ghoul paralysis. Here we go with languages. Let's see. Surely they've got common. Half-elves begin play knowing both common and elvish. Good. So again, we've got humans, elves, halflings, and half-elf. They can all speak together. Any of the other races needs a higher intelligence in order to communicate in the common language. By the book here. If you have a higher than average intelligence, you can add some of the following languages: dwarf, gnome, goblin, hobgoblin, orc, or soul, which is the Cyclopsman language. Half-elves receive a bonus to picking pockets, 10%, and hiding in shadows of 5%. What was the lifespan again? 200 years. So starting adventurers, going to be 40s and, well, could be late 30s, 40s, and 50s, depending upon the career. And you've got your average height and weight that you can roll for. So I guess the only surprise there was just the low level for cleric. What was the elven maximum? The elven maximum for cleric was level 7. So half-elf is level 5. I wonder why it's lower. With humans being able to go higher, I wonder why their cleric level limitation isn't higher than that. Half-orc. Let's take a look at these. To be a half-orc, I used to love to play half-orcs back in the day. I was the only one, the only one that ever in my old group growing up played a half-orc. You need a constitution of 13. Once you choose to be a half-orc, you can get a strength bonus +1, constitution +1, but charisma is -2. You can be an assassin up to level 15, a cleric only up to level 4, a fighter to level 12, and a thief up to level 12. Half-orcs are born from a union of orcs and humans. Half-orcs are as tall as humans, but with more muscular builds. They are particularly broad through the shoulders. They have sloping foreheads, broad jaws, and some have oversized canines. They have coarse black hair and gray skin tones, and they live shorter lifespans, around 50 years. What was it? Human was about 60, I think. Role play. Like half-elves, half-orcs exist between cultures. They are ill-tempered, yet also possess the adaptability of their human ancestry. Half-orcs are accustomed to thriving under difficult circumstances. They tend to be brooding and soft-spoken until angered. Half-orc characters are drawn from the small percentage that pass as human in society, so they look more human than orc. Half-orcs tend to dress and speak the language of the culture in which they were raised, so most likely they're looking more on the human side. Standard movement, 40 feet per round. Dark vision, 60 feet. How do I feel about that? Maybe I'm okay with that. You know, I was a bit more critical of the dark vision of some of the other races, but half-orc, I think in Castles and Crusades, it's the half-orcs and the dwarves that can see the best underground in the darkness. Tracking, interesting here. Half-orcs can track in the wilderness. They have a base 60% chance, +2 for each individual after the first. So if it's a larger group, they get a higher percent. They suffer penalties. Why is my phone going off with notifications here? What's going on? All right, we'll check it out later. I think my daughter just got something for school. Let's see. Where were we? Tracking. They suffer penalties of -25% to their tracking for every hour of rain and -10% for every day since the tracks were made. Thief bonuses. Pickpockets is -5. Maybe they're a bit too muscular to easily pickpockets. Open locks is +5. find traps is +5. I think they're the only ones so far that get a bonus to climbing walls. Let me check elves. Did elves get a bonus to climbing walls? Thief skills. Didn't notice anything for climbing walls, but orcs, half-orcs do. They get a +5%. Languages. Half-orcs begin play with common and orc. That's nice. So the half races can speak common. So let me list those again. Humans, elves, halflings, half-elves, and half-orcs can all communicate. It's the other races that have trouble. Elves, dwarves, gnomes, and cyclops men. They're going to need a higher than average intelligence to be able to talk with anybody. So common and orc. If they have a higher than average intelligence, they can add dwarf, elf, gnome, or halfling speech. Starting age, let's see, they live to about 50. So I would be an ancient half-orc. Most of them are starting adventuring careers at about 17, 16 years of age minimum. And tend to be a bit taller and weigh a bit more, I think, than humans. But that wraps it up for the half-orcs. So again, sort of closing comments on the races. I had some criticism about everybody but humans having dark vision. I just don't know if I would really agree with halflings and elves having the ability to just see in the black, dark underground. I just don't know about that. Cyclopsmen as well, unless they were bred to do labor, in the mines or something. But I still might house rule something like that, either along the lines of Castles and Crusades, where there's different ranges, different levels, where dwarves can really see well, like a deep vision, and something like a halfling or elf might be able to see better in the starlight and moonlight outside. Or just the easiest thing to just put everybody on the same level is to go the shadow dark and just say that nobody has dark vision, and you've got to use torches and lanterns. If you still wanted to stick with this, it's the humans that are going to be the troublemakers, always bringing the light sources that spoil everybody else's dark vision. So instead of having all the demi-humans groan when the humans show up, allow humans to maybe break ties on initiative rolls. Something that the other races will be not too disappointed to have them in the party. Something that they bring that no one else does, that they're glad to have them in the party, even though they may spoil the dark vision. But I think, let me check our time. I think that's going to wrap up the races, half-elf and half-orc. So interesting to read some of these level limitations. Again, just in closing, some of the ones I might question. Halflings had no way to become arcane spellcasters. That was just an interesting thing to note. And half-elves, surprisingly, had a lower level limit on cleric than straight elves do. But humans could be a cleric up to any level. So you'd think their cleric level would be higher than that of straight elves, but it's not. Just some interesting observations there. Anyway, as I went through this, let me know your thoughts and opinions on the different races. And, these kind of games are certainly made with the idea in mind that you can house rule them and adjust them as you see fit. So, multi-classing, I'm going to be getting to that later, talking about house rules and such. But let's go through the regular classes first, and that's what I'll pick it up with next time. We'll head into the cleric. Well, everybody, thanks for listening, and I'll catch you later for some more Dragonslayer.